Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers on the broadcast today, coming to you from the Bank Saloon Conference Room in Carson City. Austin Osborne joins us. He's the Storey County Manager, here for the whole show on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Love and luck are in the air at Carson Valley Inn. $1,000 winners guaranteed every drawing night. Up to $7,500 every Saturday. And $15,000 in grand prize giveaways Friday, March 31st. It's the Love and Luck giveaways at the Carson Valley Inn.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot hardware store and a whole lot more. It's huge, with clothing, power equipment, tools, and of course, hardware. Big R is located on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and opposite Reed High School. Big R, hardware, and a whole lot more.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are pleased to welcome to the program Austin Osborne. He is the Storey County Manager. Pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And I should point out to the audience, and most of them know, that I have been associated with Storey County for pretty close to 30 years, working initially for the VCCTA, and then for Lance Goman and Roger Norman, helping to publicize TRI when it first came online back in 2005, and continue to have a strong relationship with the county. So it's a pleasure to have you on here for the first time. So the first question I want to ask you is, with all this crazy weather that we've had over the last couple of months, how is Storey County doing?
Well, we're doing okay. We've had our share of troubles with floods and snow, and lots of snow. Our emergency manager told us we had 16 feet this year cumulative, and had a small avalanche in Virginia City a couple weeks ago that we had to deal with, did some damage to someone's house. So it's been quite an adventure. Okay, and what kind of resources have you had to handle this? Well, we have one emergency management department of one person, but he coordinates all of us as a team, and we respond to various issues. Our county commissioners did declare a state of emergency, so hopefully that'll provide us some resources, any federal or state money that might come in a response. People think, because of all the news about the major companies that have located in the park, that Storey County is just rolling in money. Is that correct? We have a hard time with that. We're doing okay. You know, we're able to pay our bills, but no, we're not rich. We're not rolling in money. Storey County has about a $25 million budget. That is a tiny fraction of what our neighbors have in their funds, and we have tremendous amounts of responsibilities that we're working on over a long period to try to resolve. For example? Infrastructure. We would have, in our capital improvement plan, we have $600 million over 10 years of deferred maintenance that needs to be addressed. $150 million just in 5 years of absolute critical infrastructure like water, roads, and flood control that need to be addressed. You're not going to be able to fix those kind of problems with a $25 million budget. And, you know, at some point, these abatements are going to go away.
that have been done for companies like Tesla and others. For example, what did you think when you heard the news that was exciting, another $3.5 billion being invested by Tesla to build their semi-trucks? But what did you think in terms of infrastructure that you need to manage that if they get the abatements that they're going after?
Well, I'd like to take us 10 years ago in 2014 when, the first Gigafactory was coming our way, and exciting isn't quite the word, it's more of an investment. You know that in order to invest, you have to defer sometimes gratification and take your time on a return. And we knew that if we endured 10 years of tax abatements under the program that the state of Nevada put together for Tesla, that we might actually have the potential to invest 10 years later, which is about now, for us to be able to address critical infrastructure in the county. That's why we made that investment 10 years ago.
All right, and then you add in another $3.5 billion. What are you going to have to do to accommodate both the initial growth of 10 years ago and what's coming?
Well, it looks at the growth at, how you look at it. We approved in 2006 roughly 4,000 homes in Storey County near the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. And because of the economy at the time, that project didn't get off the ground, but that's still being explored today. And we completely rewrote our master plan and all of our development codes to accommodate that growth, as well as other residential growth across the county. So that's one example of how we're preparing for what's to come in the growth in the area and investing in our community.
All right, but the need is there now, and yet you're still going to have to deal with these abatements for the time being. When do the first ones run out?
The end of 2024.
At the end of 2024. So at that point, what would be your first tasks that you would want to accomplish with that tax money?
Well, the tax money we're getting, which is significant, is not as much as people think. We keep hearing in the community that it's $100 million coming to Storey County, or $50 million even. It's nothing like that. Significantly, $15, $16, $18 million could be coming our way, which to us is a lot of money. To our neighboring counties, that probably wouldn't necessarily be that impactful. But to us, that's going to enable us to do things like our water system in Virginia City, in Gold Hill and Silver City. We're operating on a water system that was built in the 1850s, and it's our only source of water. There's no well water, there's nothing else we can rely upon. And we have oftentimes weekly geysers, blowouts, boil water notices, conserve water notices, because the system is so antiquated and falls apart. And our Public Works Department of 8 people is working on that constantly, trying to keep that thing patched and put together. It's a catastrophe waiting to happen. We have to get that under control, and we need this money for that project. That's just one of many projects across the county that are similar. Our roads. We don't have curb and gutter. We don't have roads that are built to any kind of DOT standards. They're rural roads. They're 3 inches of pavement put on top of dirt with no drainage. That needs to be addressed as well in order for us to be able to provide for our communities life safety response. We have tourism that we have to accommodate with people coming into town, and just being able to serve our residents with a very minimal staff.
Okay, going back to the water. So your water comes from Marlette Lake, correct?
Yeah, and for people who don't understand, there's a lake above Lake Tahoe, and that water is siphoned out of that lake. It goes down below the interstate in Washoe Valley, and it gets sucked back up to Virginia City, just like siphoning gas out of your tank.
And this came from the Comstock era, correct?
Oh yeah, in the 1850s, 1857, I believe that was put in place. And it blows out. We had a blowout just a couple weeks ago, and one was underneath a person's house, actually did substantial garage damage into his yard. And that's the kind of stuff we deal with. We got a pipe down there at 800 PSI with that siphon, and a pipe that was put in 1857 made out of ductile iron. Yeah, we need to get on that and be able to fix these things.
Other water issues, Virginia City Highlands. Isn't that all well water?
It is. So the Highlands is roughly just over a third of our population in the county, and it's all served by well and septic. And the type of groundwater environment there, you could have one home that has sufficient water, and right next door they're dry. There are many homes out there that the wells have been drilled once, twice, and 3 times as deep as 1,700 feet, just trying to get water.
1,700 feet.
Correct. And that's not just one well. That is a typical situation out there.
Okay, and the cost of that has to be extraordinary.
We had an estimate done with an engineer and through our master plan, and it is about $127 million just to transmit water to that community. That doesn't include treatment and distribution.
And how many people live in that community? Because isn't that the largest residential community in the county?
Right now it is. Right now it's about 1,600 people that live out there with a potential for doubling in population. And then Virginia City, that has about 1,200 people, and it has a potential to triple in population.
Really? And is the county prepared for a tripling of population in terms of infrastructure?
In that area, not now as far as infrastructure goes. That's what we need this money, is to be able to build the infrastructure for that to happen. A lot of this is building on existing permitted allowable lots as well. So there is a potential of somebody coming and saying, I want to start really building at a high rate, and we would have to deal with that.
Has anybody approached you at this point in time? Because we're seeing national builders coming into places like Fallon, for example. Are you seeing people like that knocking on your door in Storey County, outside of TRI?
Yes, we are at the north end of the county. We have several developers looking at development in the Painted Rock area, and we're facilitating that.
All right, let's take a break. More with Austin Osborne, getting the real truth about what's going on in Storey County after this time out.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Located in the heart of Carson City, the Bank Saloon is a historic watering hole with a modern feel. With a variety of classic cocktails featuring Nevada spirits, space for private events, conferences, and an incredible atmosphere, the Bank Saloon offers a great location to work and play. Come visit us. Located at the corner of 5th and Carson, we'll save you a drink.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Austin Osborne. He is the Storey County manager. Storey County is where the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center is located, which is pretty much the envy of the world at this point because there are so many big name companies that are operating in that park. Tesla's Gigafactory is there. They're now announced that they want to build another $3.5 billion semi-truck plant there. Switch is out there. Google is out there. I mean, the list goes on. But there have been rumblings from other cities in the region and counties that they should be getting some of the tax money that is being generated or will be generated once these abatements go away. But I hear from other people that there's an argument to the other side that there are benefits to those outer areas that are not necessarily being discussed. Can you share what the county's opinion of that is?
Absolutely, be happy to. So I think we need to look at Northern Nevada as a region. It's a community, and all of us are benefiting from the economic development that's happening. You look at Northern Nevada, the Reno, Sparks, Washoe County area before the Gigafactory, and then you look at it today, and it's apples and oranges fiscally. So you look at in Washoe County, for example, their budget grew the 7 years before the Gigafactory had come into town, roughly about $5 million. It was about a 12% growth. And then the 7 years after the Gigafactory came in, their budget grew over $100 million. It was a 225 or almost 225% increase. And that's their budget alone. And Reno and Sparks, the cities, have similar patterns in their growth, in their budgets. And that's money that's used to reinvest back into your community. That's just one example of what is, the type of revenue generation that's happened from the growth in the area. The reports from either the governor's office or other Tesla impact economic reports in the region show there's been $17 billion worth of spending in Northern Nevada from employees, construction contracts, people buying, their Chevys and Fords and going out to dinner, everything, the whole induced impact to the region. And that is translated to $119 million worth of tax revenue to whether it's the state through MBT or through the local municipalities, Reno, Sparks, Washoe, into their budgets, all of that. This is benefiting the region and all of us.
Okay, and so then the counter argument would be from Storey County is we need the tax money to refurbish what we have in terms of infrastructure. You other counties and cities are getting the money that is coming from sales tax, correct? And that's the benefit there?
I could talk about it's coming both from sales tax. Their revenues are also coming from increased assessed valuation of properties. But let's just talk about sales tax just for a moment. Storey County is very reliant on property tax. We don't have a lot of commercial uses, a gas station and a few small stores in the industrial center in Virginia City. So we made this investment 10 years ago because we knew that we were going to have property tax coming our way that would enable us to do the infrastructure that we talked about earlier to not only meet current needs but future needs.
All right, and so the bottom line is that everybody should take a deep breath and allow Storey County to be able to move forward with the needs for the citizens of Storey County?
I believe so, and while we're using that property tax to invest in our community, our neighbors, in addition to property tax that they're generating from housing and commercial uses and mixed uses in their communities, that sales tax revenue coming to them is allowing them to invest also in their communities. And we're not receiving virtually any of that sales tax revenue. It's all going to our neighbors.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be back with more with Austin Osborne. He's the Storey County Manager after this time out.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with the Storey County Manager, Austin Osborne. One of the things that I was interested in knowing the results of was the housing impact analysis on the region. What can you share with us from that?
Well, Washoe County's population has grown roughly 1% each year since the Gigafactory came on board. It's significant, but it's not the type of growth that people are talking about, as far as the area is exploding. A lot of folks, the data shows that most of the employees that work at the Gigafactory already have lived in this area before they applied for the job. So that impact may be somewhat minimal. But we actually hired a consultant to do a housing needs and housing impact analysis of the region to see kind of what kind of numbers really show. And the results of that study shows that in Washoe County and in Reno and in the city of Sparks, that the tax revenue that is generated from the average household living in a home in those areas is paying for and having a surplus of money after all of the responses, roads, emergency, life safety, police, fire, all those things, and even schools, that there is still a positive net revenue coming into all three of those jurisdictions from the housing that they create. We want to be reminded that, when you build like they have with mixed uses, they got commercial, they have residential, they have different types of things happening. These people they're spending money, they're buying cars. Our quality of life has increased in Northern Nevada and our standard of living has increased. We're probably driving nicer cars and we're eating out more often and we're doing things more often and spending and investing back into the community. And the data shows that pattern is actually providing a net positive fiscal impact to all three jurisdictions. Storey County too looks forward to getting some housing in its county so we can start capturing some of those sales tax dollars and assessed valuation that'll help it be long-term successful.
Okay, in some of the stuff I've seen recently that I've been reading, you talk about the fire department and the police department being underfunded. Can you share that with us?
In our county?
Yeah.
Yeah, in our case, it goes back to we're still living on the budget of before the Gigafactory to a large part. We haven't
because of the abatements.
Because of the abatements. And the property tax has been abated, the sales tax have been abated. We don't have any people spending money in our county to recapture that sales tax, and we don't have a lot of residential recapturing some of that property tax indirectly. So yes, our fire district, we have a fire station that actually in Lockwood is half built by garbage reclaimed from the Lockwood landfill.
What?
That is true.
Seriously?
Absolutely. And that's how we made things work. We built bridges out of rail cars. We made a fire station out of garbage. One of our schools is actually reclaimed brothel buildings that are still being used today. This is unacceptable. We know that we need to invest back in our community and bring ourselves into the 20th century, let alone the 21st century.
And this is at the same time you have some of the most high-tech companies on the planet investing in Storey County, but you can't utilize that money because it's being abated.
That's right.
And which is the deal that you guys agreed to, but with the idea that down the road you will be getting those tax revenues.
You're absolutely right. We believe that the deal that we made with the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, where we have to actually reinvest, we have to buy the roads and the drainages and the fire stations. It isn't just dedicated to us and we maintain it. We actually have to pay it back over 50 years. That's $48 million that we owe for USA Parkway. That interchange that you see over I-80, we bought that. We have to pay that back, including the part that's in Washoe County. We maintain the stoplights and all the other infrastructure along that as well. The fire station, all that stuff. We bought it. But it was a good deal because at the time, Storey County had nothing. We were going to be carved up and dissolved and given to our neighboring counties. We had folks that were able to come into town. Roger Norman, for example, had said, I'll put up all your infrastructure up front. I'll get you guys off the ground so you can generate tax revenues, and he gets to sell property and build an industrial park at 0% interest. We pay him back. It's a good deal. But we still have expenses and things that we have to be responsible for, and we need to educate and show people in the legislature and otherwise that it isn't just money coming to us that is going to sit there. We have responsibilities and obligations just like any other jurisdiction.
Last question here, we've got about a minute left. There was an interesting deal that I think benefits both Washoe County, Reno, Sparks, as well as Storey County, which is the Regional Effluent Pipeline, which is a $30 million pipeline that takes gray water from the sewage plant and sends it up to Storey County to be used in the industrial park, correct?
That's right.
And who pays for that? Because it was like $30 million. Who pays for that and who uses it?
Well, in short, this was really an amazing regional project where Reno, Sparks, Washoe, and Truckee River, or Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility all got together with Storey County and the GID and even NDOT and saved Washoe County ratepayers $150 million in having to build a new plant that would meet effluent discharge requirements into the river. Put that water over to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, and that project will be paid for by companies that reinvest in it. But Storey County has to reimburse them $23 million over the life of that project. So we're paying for that project on our side for the transmission element of that pipe and saving Washoe County $150 million. But everybody benefited, including the river and the tribe, with water that was donated by Tahoe Reno Industrial Center and NDOT to put back into the river of clean water in trade for affluent water.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in today to clear up some of these issues, because there's a lot of conversation about the strains on the area because of the growth of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center in Storey County. But there's obviously another huge side that you've revealed today, so thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
you
you being there. All right, and we'll be right back.
Win some Leprechaun loot during the $75,000 all-cash Go Green giveaways. More than 150 winners in all. Find your pot of gold with $15,000 in weekly cash giveaways guaranteed. And $25,000 in grand prize giveaways, including a $15,000 cash top prize. It's a good time to win at Tamarack Casino.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
Thanks to the Bank Saloon in Carson City and the Builders Alliance for their help with our coverage of the 2023 legislative session. We'll see you on the next podcast.